We live, baby.
Shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom. This is gonna be a Factual Friday lesson, bringing in the Shabbat. Hope everybody had a peaceful week, or if you didn't, I hope you endured through this captivity that we're living in. Yeah, this should be a good lesson. You don't have to share the screen for these first two precepts. You don't got to share the screen. I'm just gonna get these out of the way just to get us started. Salakia, I've been drinking this Canada Dry, but yeah. First and foremost, want to give all honor and praise to the Most High God by the way of His Son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation. We don't say that lightly. We know that Christ is our high priest, our mediator, and who we get to the Father by. And it's not idolatry for all those OT only people, you know what I'm saying? Because He tells us to do the Father's will, not His own will. And also, I want to say shalom to everybody that's going to get on this live, everybody that's going to watch this video later on, especially tonight, because it's a Friday night in the summertime. You could be doing anything, you know what I'm saying? We could be doing anything. Shalom. Barakatah. But yeah, we could be doing anything on this Friday night, you know what I'm saying? And but we're here getting edified. We're in the scriptures. So shalom to everybody that's going to join the live feed and that's in here already. If you are, shalom to the brothers that's on here. Because like I said, it's nothing to take lightly that on a Friday night, we're in the Bible. We're not at no club. We're not in the streets. We're not at a pregame. We're not at a pool party with all this summer heat. We're not listening to Drake's album right now. You know what I'm saying? All we doing right now is trying to be edified by the word. So, hey, shalom. And everybody that is doing that, even if you're not on this live feed, if you're on another live feed or if you're reading by yourself, whatever, hey, you refresh my spirit and you cause me to keep going myself. I can attest to that. So, just getting into this real quick, I'm gonna read two quick passages before we really jump into it. The first one is going to be 1 Corinthians 10, right? So the title of this lesson is, what was it? The ungodly desire pleasure?
The ungodly seek pleasure.
The ungodly seek pleasure, right? And I got that subtitle from the Bible when you go to the Apocrypha in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. The ungodly seek pleasure. So it's not my words. Actually, I don't even know if that's words of the Lord, but it was a good subtitle. Let me pull something up real quick. But shalom, if brothers want to, you know what I'm saying, introduce themselves or say shalom, y'all can go ahead real quick.
Shalom. This your brother Yash. Yeah. Right? Translates to Isaiah, meaning God is my salvation. But I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to the nation. We just want to welcome in another Sabbath. Appreciate you all for tuning in on another Factual Friday. Want to give a special shout out to the brothers that's on the screen with me. Like we said, they could be doing anything, but hey, look, I don't know when the freaks come out at night, hey, them prophets be trying to get right. So you already know we in the word with it.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of lame. I ain't gonna lie. Nah, cool. But nah, for real, man, for sure, man. What the brothers are saying is right, is right on, because like, it's crazy, man. Before we came into the truth, we would be definitely about to get into some folly right now. It's Friday night. We just getting off of work and stuff like that, things of that nature. And you know what I'm saying? We were about to begin to folly, but now that we've been in this truth and we actually started doing this labor, I really can't imagine myself doing anything else, you know what I'm saying, on Shabbats and just consuming myself with the word, and you get consumed with edifying. You know what I'm saying? But Shalom, I want to say Shalom, my brother Donal. You know what I'm saying? And Shabbat Shalom, bringing into the lesson. I'll be right back.
Con.
That brother ordering pizza or something, ain't it?
Brother buying on the Sabbath. Hey, man, we got to rebuke this brother.
Man, that man racing against the clock. I'm looking outside right now. But no, getting straight into the lesson, you know what I'm saying? But I like that little saying you just said, though, Yeshaya. You know what I'm saying? I heard another good saying. Somebody asked the brew how he was doing. He said, doing good as a Hebrew. Wait, no. He said, doing good as a Hebrew. He rhymed something with should. He said, doing good as a Hebrew should. Something like that. I don't know. But anyway, Salakia. Getting straight into it, the ungodly seek pleasure. All right. So this all was sparked by a few conversations I seen on Twitter, a few conversations I seen on Instagram, and you know, it's brothers and sisters that were arguing their point that they can enjoy life. You don't always have to be uptight. You don't always have to be sorrowful. You can enjoy life. You can vacation. You can do all X, Y, and Z. Have your margaritas, drink in moderation. You know, you can do all those things and you know, not be worried about or be stressed about life. So we're gonna go over that today with the scripture, with the word. I want to give my 2 cents first, and then we're gonna see what the word says, because we know that the words tells us in Romans 15:4. All things are written aforetime was written for our learning. So that's how we're going to learn this thing. That's how we're going to be edified on whether we should look to enjoy life before the fall of Babylon, or whether we should, you know what I'm saying, be doing something else. Right. So let's get this real quick. 1 Corinthians 10:23, it says, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Right? So that would be, if you ask me, that would be my answer to that. If you want to say that you can, you know what I'm saying, live a good life, buy nice clothes and go on vacations every other weekend and enjoy yourself in Babylon, right? Or enjoy yourself outside the country, whatever. You ask me, I'm going to tell you all things are lawful, but all things aren't expedient, and all things don't edify. Why would I say that? This is why I would say that. Jumping down to verse 29. It says, conscience, I say not thine own, but of the other. For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience? Right? So even though in your conscience, you're free to do what you want to do, you have liberty, right? Even though that's the case, guess what? Our people are in a state of mourning. Our people are still homeless. Our people are still in the projects. Our people, in a vast majority or a generalized sense, our people can't afford vacation. Our people can't afford nice cars and nice clothes. So why, you know what I'm saying? In my opinion, why would you use your liberty to do what you want to do when you know all eyes is on you? Because we know that you're going to what? You're going to take pictures. You're going to boast. You're going to be proud of yourself, right? You're going to do all those things, and other people of a lower stature are going to see those things, and you're going to cause those people to be envious, covetous, bear false witness on you. You know, they might lie to somebody and say that, oh, he really scamming, or she really not about that, or she really got a sugar daddy. You know, people be lying on you. So if you ask me, my 2 cents coming from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, hey, you can do it. It's not a sin, but is it edifying the nation? Is it building the nation? Is it helping the nation? Because we can go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 2. Let me flip there real quick. Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 2, because at the same time, when you take these vacations, right, all that's going to do is make you love this world. All that's going to do is make you cling to this world like Lot's wife. When it's time to flee, when it's time for the world to end, when it's time for Babylon to fall, you're going to miss going to Las Vegas. You're going to miss going to California. You're going to miss going to some of these theme parks, right? You're going to miss some of those things. Why? Because You enjoyed life. You got attached to it. That's why Lot's wife looked back at those cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, and those other 5 cities surrounding Sodom and Gomorrah. Why? Because she enjoyed the lifestyle that it brought. She wanted to be saved. Yeah, you're going to want to be saved. But at the same time, you're going to be attached because you're focused, right? You're too focused on the wrong things. I believe it's a song that says that. It was like a little snippet. Somebody said, you're too focused on the wrong things. So if you're too focused on the wrong things right now, because we're at the end of the world. So let me read this real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 2. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Verse 3. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? So a lot of us, we just labor so that we can enjoy ourselves in captivity. We labor so that we can have a break from captivity and enjoy ourselves, buy nice things. That's why we labor. We don't labor to provide. We labor to spend that bread, right? We labor not to lay up in the storehouse for the homeless. We labor to spend that on us, right? To further our life. But the preacher said, vanity of vanities. And who's the preacher? The preacher is Solomon, right? This is a book written by Solomon. And he's the preacher being talked about here. And we know Solomon has wisdom and understanding. So he said, vanity of vanity. What is a vanity? I always tell people, they call those things in women's Salakia and women's bathrooms, they call those vanities, right? And when you look at a vanity, you see a mirror, you're looking back at yourself. And what do girls do in a vanity? They paint their face, put makeup on, make themselves look good. All right. So vanity of vanities. Vanity means what? You're full of yourself. All is vanity. Because let's be honest, when we go on these trips, we don't even go to the land for edification purposes. A lot of times we go to these resorts, we don't even step foot off the resort. A lot of times we just go to drink, party, have fun. You know what I'm saying? All is vanity. It's not like when brothers call themselves fleeing Babylon and they go to Egypt or some other place in Africa. Those brothers ain't going for vanity. Those brothers and sisters, right? It's not hard. It's not easy to live out there. So them brothers and sisters are really out there, you know what I'm saying, trying to build the nation, trying to get their mind right. Their focus is still on the end times. So us living in the latter days, as far as crops being burnt, as far as homosexuality, vile affections, as far as mass shootings, us living in the last days, as far as wars and rumors of wars with Ukraine, with Russia, with China, right? With Babylon, all of these things are happening, and your focus is on vacationing, living a good life. Our focus is on the wrong things, and we don't want to be caught up like Lot's wife, right? So now we can get into it real quick. We're gonna go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 6. We're gonna start there.
All right, we here.
Con,
I'm gonna read it.
All right, Salakia, before you read, just to give context, this chapter is talking about the ungodly, right? Verse 1 says, for the ungodly. So just to give context, this whole chapter is talking about the ungodly. So keep that in mind when the brother reads this.
And it says right here, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth.
Right. So the ungodly says, let us enjoy the good things that are present, right? Why are the ungodly saying that? Because the ungodly are carnal people. They're not spiritual people. They're not looking for what's to come. They're not looking for what pleases the Most High or the Spirit, right? They're focused on what pleases their skin. They say that beach feels good. That beach air feels good on their skin. They love getting tans. They love that water rushing between their toes, right? So the ungodly, they they seek the pleasure right now, right? So let's go to verse 16.
You're muted,
Salakia. It says right here in verse 16, we are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his father.
Right. So right here, the ungodly is saying to the people like us who's focused on the right things, who's focused on the end of the world, who's focused on the nation, they're saying that, you know, he's kind of coming against us by the way he's living. And he's saying the way he's living, he claims he's living that way because God is his father, right? And that's how it is a lot of times when you tell people, you know, you shouldn't be focused on trying to get to your next vacation. That's a lot of money you just spent. And like the brother Levi, we have a brother named Levi. Like the brother Levi always says, you could have been using that to prep water, prep food for when things go out of off the shelves and stuff like that in a famine, right? So there's so much stuff that we could be doing, Salakia, but what do we focus on? We focus on vanity. All right. So taking heed to the words of the Lord, so far it's looking like, you know, we shouldn't indulge ourselves in. I think the brother Denal was going over this in one lesson. He called it well, the Bible calls it, what is it when you indulge too much in something? Surfetting.
Surfetting is more like your pastime, though.
Gluttony is like if you indulge something too much.
Yeah, gluttony.
No, I'm not. I'm talking
about.
Oh, you're
talking about like
you're talking about doing
like
it too,
partaking in folly excess. Too much.
You're in excess. Surfetting. So Salakia. Let's go to Sirach 1 and 30.
Sirach chapter 1 and verse number 30. All right, so let me pull this up, and it says, y'all can hear me, right? Okay, it says, exalt not thyself lest thou fall, and bring this. What? Exalt not thyself lest thou fall.
So a lot of times when we want to live this lifestyle, this glamorous lifestyle, and enjoy life, we exalt ourselves. That's why we take the pictures, the selfies. We take pictures of what's on our plate. We take pictures so much to where we don't even enjoy the vacation that we're trying to take anyway. Why? Because it's all vanity, and we're exalting ourselves. How do we exalt ourselves? By putting ourselves out in front of other people to see, so that they can see that we're having fun in life, that they can see that we're treating ourselves nice, we're treating ourselves right. In the midst of all that's going on, we expect the ungodly to be doing that, but the people that's in the truth, our focus should be on this word. Our focus should be on helping our brothers and our sisters that can't even take vacations, right? By giving them food, giving them shelter, giving them water, helping them out, preaching to them, right? For example, brothers that go on the highways and byways, they do that every week. They don't have time. They don't have time to go on vacations. Why? Because they're doing the work of the Lord. Now, there's many ways to do the work of the Lord, but what I'm trying to get at is, what are you doing in these last days? Are you doing stuff for yourself and your own conscience, or are you keeping in mind the conscience of other people, like 1 Corinthians 10 tell us, right? Everything you should do with the conscience of somebody else is watching me. I could be helping somebody else. Somebody else is going through it worse than me. Go ahead.
But I was gonna point out too, man, because you were saying brothers are out there every week. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that we not necessarily pride ourselves in, but as men of the Lord in this truth, we know that we're indebted to this truth. And you know, one of the things that we're indebted to is doing this work no matter what. Right? Brothers done had babies, had kids, you know what I'm saying, and was out there the next day, was out there, you know what I'm saying, and you know, we get it done like that, you know, because at the end of the day, we understand we wouldn't have that baby if it wasn't for the Most High. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter rain, sleet, or snow. You know what I'm saying? We gonna try our best to be out there. We've been out there in the rain. We've been out there when it was freezing cold, can't feel your fingers. We've been, you know what I'm saying? It's about summertime now. It's gonna be out. We're gonna be out there sweating. You know what I'm saying? We were sweating a little bit out there last time, but it doesn't matter, man, because we've picked our side, and that's what we're gonna stand for. Like the brother was saying, brothers is out there every week. You know what I'm saying? And not just us. You got other camps out there too, right? And that alone allows us to respect people in this truth that go and do this work. A lot of people talk about I guess what they call individualites. They talk about people in camps and what we do and stuff like that. Not comparing us to any other camp, because we're a little bit different than the traditional camp, but that alone is respectable in the fact that brothers go out there to teach our people every week. You know what I'm saying? Brothers might be getting into some folly here and there, but brothers go out there to teach our people and edify our people every week, bro. And that's something that's commendable, even at its base. I think, remember The Rock had that one song. He said, "That's why you will never hear me diss a camp." A couple years ago on YouTube, I remember that I wasn't living right. Did he
just say Negroes are the Israelites? Hey.
And I'm gonna be honest, bro. That's what brought me in. You know what I'm saying? So at this very elementary level, we understand that, hey man, just doing the work, just getting out there, brothers that be out there every week, like the brother just said. You know what I'm saying? It's very important.
And like the brother, like we went over on Monday. It was Monday, right?
Wednesday.
Salakia. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Like we went over Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesday. The brother brought out Matthew 22, and you know what I'm saying? It's two people. It's people that want to go to the marriage, and it's people that make light of it. Matthew 22 says that there was people. He invited his servants, but his servants made light of the situation, and they returned back to their folly, or they. Salakia, let me just go and get it out the mouth of the Lord before I quote it wrong. Let's go to Matthew 22 and verse 5.
Says right here, but they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise.
Right. So a lot of brothers and sisters saying, yeah, I'm in the truth now. Yeah, I know the truth. Now I can live my life. It doesn't matter if I enjoy myself or not, because I know the truth already. That's very selfish of you. You're not trying to invite nobody else to this wedding. You're not trying to bid nobody else. It's work to be done, right? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So if we already have few laborers and the harvest is vast, like the brothers always tell me, I can't cut the grass at this one field in 2 days, right? I'll be telling them I can because I'm a hard worker, but they tell me, no, that grass needs a lot. It needs a lot of work. So just like that, hey, look, the harvest is plentiful, and if it's only a few laborers, it's gonna take all day. So that's why you being called to this truth, guess what? Many are called, few are chosen, and those that are chosen, they have a high responsibility. You don't get to just vacate. You don't get to just take a break now that you know the truth. You don't get to just worry about yourself. You got to worry about bringing more people in to help your labor, to help be a rest to you. You know what I'm saying? So Matthew 22, it talks about how they went back to their merchandise. They went back to their nice cars. They went back to their luxury items, right? Their luxury spending. They made light of the situation, even though they was invited. So we on here tonight telling you the ungodly seek pleasure in this life, but we want to labor. We know that this is not our rest. Our focus is on the right things. The end of the world is here. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. All right. So let's get Ecclesiastes 7 and 16.
Con. Pull it up right here. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus. I mean, you said Ecclesiasticus, right?
Or yeah, Ecclesiastes.
Oh, Ecclesiastes 7 and 16, right? And it's like it put up 17. 7 and 16. And it says, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself?
Right. So a lot of brothers and sisters will go here and say that you're being over righteous. I can go on vacations. They're gonna say you're being over righteous. You don't have to be so uptight. You don't gotta be a nun. You don't have to be uh you don't have to be everybody's not going to be like Paul. Everybody's not going to be like Peter. Everybody can't be a so-and-so. But these people are mentioned in the Bible so that you can strive to be like them. Will you be like them? Probably not. But we're supposed to strive to be like them. So that's why the things are even written aforetime in the first place, because they gave it a righteous example. He spoke by the mouth of his prophets and his disciples and apostles to teach us, right? And so let's go to Matthew 5:20 after we just read that. Because
Con.
brothers and sisters take that, and what they do is they're not righteous at all no more, because they say, okay, we can't be over righteous. So now they're just too lax. At this point now, what do? They chill back. They take a big chill pill. Well, the Bible said don't be over righteous, so I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna correct nobody. I'm not gonna, what they end up doing is hiding their talent. Because a lot of people, everybody's given talents when you come into this truth. Not talking about singing or dancing or making arts and crafts. A talent was money, right? Or it was a form of currency. Everybody from the master is given talents, right? And that talent is really a spiritual gift. And that spiritual gift would be one of, I think it's like 5 or 6, to prophesy, to teach, to Salaki, they're running out my head. Prophesy, to teach, to be an apostle, to be he called many to be, those spirits that the spirits that the Salakia, those gifts that the Spirit gives us. All right. But a lot of us, we don't even tap into that, right? So let's read Matthew 5:20.
Matthew 5:20, it says, "For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven."
Right. So the brother talked about the kingdom of heaven on Wednesday. And right now, our focus should be on the kingdom of heaven because it is at hand. All right. And unless your righteousness exceeds. So the Bible's telling you don't be over righteous. Right. And the Bible's also telling you that your righteousness has to exceed the Pharisees, who were, pretty right in their sayings because they knew the law. All right. So that means there has to be a just balance. It has to be a just weight. And how do you keep that just weight or that just bag? You try to edify it, all means. All your actions try to edify. All things are lawful, but all things aren't expedient. But all things that you do should edify. All right. Let's go to James 4:4.
Con, this is the book of James. Let me pull it up in here. Let's pull it right here. This is the book of James. What I asked the New Testament. This key one for the Apoc. James chapter 4, verse number 4. It said, "Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God."
Right. So it starts out by saying you adulterers and adulteresses, right? Meaning what? Spiritually, once you choose the world and you want to enjoy the world so much and see all the sights there is to see, the Grand Canyon, the Niagara Falls, the Hollywood Boulevard, you want to see all these things, guess what? You're spiritually committing adultery because you're becoming a friend of the world. All those things that man admires and profits off of, right? You save your money up to be a friend of the world, and that's making you an adulterer. Spiritually, your friendship with the world. What's your friendship? Saving your money just to blow it on theme parks, to blow it on an airplane ride to nowhere. That's not going to benefit your brother or your sister, right? Brothers and sisters in the truth should be using airplanes and trains and gas to spread the word. They should be using these vehicles and this advanced technology to spread the word and to edify, not to please yourself. Once again, that's vanity, right? It says, therefore will be a friend of the world is enmity with God. So if you ask yourself a question, can I enjoy myself, right? Well, ask yourself this: do you want to enjoy yourself, or do you want to enjoy what the Most High God wants you to do? Right? Do you want to be a friend of God or an enemy of God? All right, let's go to Micah chapter 2 and verse 10.
Khan, this the book of Micah.
You know, because a lot of brothers and sisters, they want to, the flesh wants to enjoy this life. The flesh wants to have all the nice things right now. But like we read in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, the ungodly seek for the pleasure right now. We know what's coming, right? Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard all that he's planned for us. So we should be focusing on the right things, focusing on how to build your family up, how to lead your family, how to get your house in order, how to provide food for your family and others if needed, right? Like the brother Ned was we got a brother that we know named Ned, and he was talking about how he used to spend most of his time watching the playoffs and playing 2K and stuff like that. But now he watches sheep farming videos. He watches things that's going to better him in the future, right? That's what we should be doing. When we read this book, we shouldn't just read it and put it away. We should try to apply it to our life. The brother Danal always loves this. The verse in I believe in Sirach that goes, hate not laborious work, right? Husbandry is ordained. Husbandry is like the upkeep of land and the upkeep of animals. These things right here, guess what? They don't only just benefit you, but they benefit your children and your children's children. And if somebody else in the truth is ever in need when stuff starts getting chaotic, you can help somebody else out. That's what's called edifying.
Not only that, man, it gives you, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, Salakia. But not only that, man, it gives you a good perspective of the Most High when he said that husbandry is ordained by God, right? Why is it ordained? Because in a sense, he's showing us how it is to care for, you know what I'm saying, things like he cares for us. When you go to the book of John, it talks about how Christ is that master, that good shepherd, right? And everybody else compared to Christ is a hireling, right? And just somebody that was hired to watch over the flock. The flock isn't the hireling flock, right? They're hired to watch over it as if it was theirs, but it's not theirs, right? And we all know, like, we got jobs right now. Like, take me for instance, I work at a furniture store, right? I'm not gonna care for that furniture as if it was mine, even though I'm paid to care for it, right? The only thing that's gonna make me care for it as if it was mine is if it was mine, right? And it says that, hey, when it comes down to it, only a select few are gonna care for that flock the way the owner would, right? Because a lot of times we get these jobs and we just go, you know what I'm saying, just day to day, go through the motions, right? And that's why Christ was getting mad, because we had so many shepherds or that were hirelings and they weren't the true shepherd. And tribulations would come and they would flee, right? Temptations would come and they would take the flock and all of that stuff, and they would profit off of the flock, right? You know what I'm saying? And the good shepherd, who we know is Christ, Hamashiach, you know what I'm saying? He's willing to die for what's his, right? Because when we own something, right, we always take better care of it, right? And that's what Christ came to teach us, is that, look, we're supposed to care for each other like we care for ourselves. We're supposed to care for our brother's belongings like it was ours, right? And I think that's what the brother's trying to get at here when he's saying that, hey, look, it's our job to go edify our people. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the key, because what did Christ say? One of the greatest commandments is to love your neighbor as yourself. And if we love ourselves, right? A lot of us look in the mirror 24/7. A lot of us make sure our dental hygiene is upkept. Make sure we have a nice smile. Make sure that we look nice and clean. We smell good. That's how we're supposed to care about our brother and our sister and our elders. When you see a homeless person, you should want them to smell good. You should want them to be clean. You should want them to have what you have. You know what I'm saying? Like the brother's saying, a hireling is like a day worker, right? And a lot of us, we've been made day workers, right? We have a master who went on a vacation, or he went on some, I'm not going to say vacation for the sake of this video, but he went somewhere important, right? and he
Because you
left his.
condemn vacation.
He went somewhere important, right? He went somewhere important, and he left his day workers in charge of his flock. So when you come into this truth, you're a hireling. You're made a day worker, right? You have been proselytized. You have been converted, and you're supposed to be in charge of the flock. But a lot of us, like the brother said, we get caught up with the cares of this world, like the sower. We get caught up with the cares of this world. We get choked out by them thorns, and we fall out the truth. A lion might come and we disappear. A bear might come, we disappear. Too many sheep are getting lost, we disappear. Right?
That's why not to cut you off, Austin. I mean Azrael, but that's why Slacky. That's why certain people don't want people to babysit their kids, right? Because they won't trust these babysitters. Why? Because the babysitter, he or she is just doing this just to get a check. They're not really gonna care for my kid like it's their kid. And I got a problem with that, right? And that's the same thing with Christ. Because we're in charge of why he's up there, you know what I'm saying? We're in charge of the flock, and he's supposed to be entrusting us that we care for his children, you know what I'm saying? Like they're our children.
And it's a good point, because a lot of us, we come into this truth, we're made hirelings, which is a shepherd, but we're made hirelings and day workers under the master shepherd or the good shepherd. And what we do is we don't take the job serious. We make light of it, like Matthew 22 says. And when that happens, we focus on ourselves. We want to get a new staff. We want to get a new shepherd robe. We're focused on ourselves so much. We're not focused on all these sheep that are astray. We're not focused on the people we should be bidding to the marriage, right? I want to get this real quick.
Can I get a precept about what we was just talking about, just so people know where it's at? This is the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 12. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own sheep are not, meaning the sheep that the hireling is watching is not his own sheep, seeth a wolf coming and leaveth the sheep and fleeth. The wolf catches them and scatters the sheep. The hireling fleeth because he is a hireling and careth not for the sheep, right? Because like we were saying, man, a hireling is just a day worker. He's just there for a check. If anything comes that he's not willing to risk, I tell people all the time, right? This is my job, and I'm in charge of this furniture. But if somebody came in here with a gun and sticking up the place, I don't care about that furniture. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? That furniture has, hey, bro, I'm not risking my life for that furniture because it's not mine.
Right. You're not willing to love that furniture because it's not yours. You're not willing to die for that furniture because it's not yours. And that's just like this truth. A lot of us come into the truth and we're just happy that we're in this truth. When we start caring about ourselves, we're not willing to die for our brother. We're not willing to die for our sister because it's not ours. We don't see, Christ sees it as his, but we don't see that as ours. So that makes us a hireling and not a good shepherd. This is Matthew 23 and verse 15. It says, woe unto you, scribes, and you can pull it up if you want to. Matthew 23 and 15. Because I want to change gears real quick. We've been talking about brothers and sisters that want to take vacations because they desire the pleasures of this world. But let's talk about the brothers that's in the truth, so-called, or brothers that's doing the work, so-called, that still want the pleasures of the world. You know what I'm saying? Because we see that going around in Israel as well. We see it. We don't have to name names. We don't have to call anybody out. We see it. And we see that it's getting worse, right? Matthew 23 and 15. It says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass the sea. What is the sea? The sea is referred to people. A lot of times when you see sea, like in the book of Revelation or whatever have you, the sea is referred to as people and cities and land and countries and stuff like that. So for ye compass the sea and land to make one proselyte. What's a proselyte? Right? Can we get the definition of proselyte in Google? Because I know brothers and sisters that might be new to the truth, they might not know what a proselyte is. Right?
And it says, a person who has converted from one opinion, religion, or party to another.
right? So we have brothers that's doing the work in these camps and congregations and churches and bodies on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook. They make proselytes, meaning they convert people. But it says, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. So a lot of us, we make these proselytes, we sound nice, we sound wise, we give this instruction, we open this book full of truth, but then our folly takes over and we make them 2 times the child of hell than us because we're too focused on we're focused on pleasure. We're focused on, I can enjoy myself in this club. I can enjoy myself at this party. I can enjoy myself with turning. A lot of brothers and sisters, they only desire to go to Shabbat because they know they finna turn up when the sun go down. They know they finna have the brethren in unity and they finna turn up with drinks and with food. So a lot of times brothers just looking forward to that every week. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for the pleasures of this world. They're ready. A lot of camps nowadays aren't like what they used to be. They shut down early. They don't even stay the whole time. Camps used to stay till the sun went down, right? Your legs used to be hurting and everything. But nowadays, brothers and sisters too excited for the folly, right? And it makes the child 2 times more the child of hell than, you know, the people that taught them. You know what I'm saying? So
it's almost like brothers are too excited for the famine of the word, bro. You know what I'm saying? Brothers can't wait for the famine of the word just so they can take off into their own folly, bro, and they can relax and whatnot. You know, brothers kind of making their own famine of the word by doing what you said and only going to camp for like an hour, 30 minutes, and then shutting it down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, man, you went out there and Lord willing, you edified somebody, but still, man, you can put some more time in, you know. And we're just provoking you to righteous acts.
Right. All I'm saying is don't look forward to the end of Shabbat just so you can turn up. You know what I'm saying? You should be desiring, don't let the sun go down because I want to keep edifying. You know what I'm saying? But do we still have Micah pulled up?
Micah
2:10.
And it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction.
Right. So guess what? This is not our rest. This ain't our rest. A lot of brothers say they in true shalom. A lot of brothers say they in the New Testament, the New Covenant. You know, Israelites and non-Israelites, people that's still in the church. Guess what? We're not yet. This is not our rest. Christ ain't came back yet. Christ is the one that's given the rest, right? Like we read on Wednesday, in Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12, he says, behold, I come quickly and my reward is with me. That reward is rest. That reward is peace. Until he come back, you don't got that. It says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but wicked spirits in high places. Meaning what? We're wrestling spiritually. We're wrestling. That's not rest. So this land is not our rest, man. And like I said, if you want to enjoy this life, when it's time to flee this life, you're not going to be able to. You're going to be like Lot's wife. You're going to be looking back, turn into a pillar of salt, meaning you're not going to make it to the kingdom, right? Because your focus is not on the right things. Let's go to Matthew 24 and 37.
Matthew 24 and 37. Salakia. Let me go back. And it says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Right. So that flood gonna come quick. That flood gonna come quick, and them doors gonna shut on that ark. And all the people that were drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, all those people that was enjoying life and making light of the situation, they didn't want to. They heard about the ark. They saw the ark. They heard about the wedding. They saw the wedding getting prepared, but they made light of the situation. They wanted to keep their own, doing what they make themselves feel good. Guess what? You're gonna miss that. You're gonna get flooded. You're going to get shut out because you're not gonna be on time. You're gonna be hesitant because you've enjoyed this life so much. So we're just getting scriptures, you know what I'm saying, to not. We're getting scriptures not to throw it in our people's face, But a lot of us, we're young. We want to enjoy life when we come into this truth. But we got to look at the young people that was in this truth that was dying. The young people that was in this truth that was sacrificing, that was suffering, right? We got to look at these people and understand that this is not our rest. Even though it's hard to us to even fathom a life to come, a whole nother life. It's hard for us to fathom the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just a man, so who am I to say that that wicked spirit of doubt doesn't come into your mind? You know what I'm saying? Every now and then you have to keep reminding yourself and keep being steadfast in this word and tell yourself, guess what? Even though I had a good day today, and even though, I got some good news, guess what? There's something better waiting for you. Even though you might have had a bad day, something better is waiting for you. And it's hard for us to fathom that sometimes, right? Let's go to Sirach 7 and 7. Because this is not our rest. You know what I'm saying? This is not our rest. But a lot of brothers and sisters think as soon as they get this truth, as soon as they get this knowledge, as soon as they know that they're Israelites and that we're chosen, they think, hey, it's time to rest now. They think because the truth has set them free that they're actually free right now. The truth is the word, and the word is Christ. And he ain't came back yet. So he ain't set you free yet. He's giving you the good news, the gospel. But guess what? He's coming back to mend the broken hearts. He's coming back to set those that are captive free. But until then, we still in captivity. We still not free. This is not our land of rest. Don't let this world deceive you and give a false deception and depiction of a life that's good when you really, you know what I'm saying, are still under the rule of wicked people in a wicked society. And your brothers and your sisters who you're made a hireling over, they're still struggling. There's still people doing worse than you, right? So why would you want to enjoy life when people are still doing worse than you, right? Let's read this. Sirach 7 and 7.
Con. It's like I was trying to blur this background. And it says, offend not against the multitude of a city, and then thou shalt not cast thyself down among the people.
Right. So guess what? I don't know why I put that in there. That's
Are you looking for Ecclesiastes 7 and 7? Surely your oppression maketh the wise man mad, and the gift destroyeth the heart.
nah. Stay right here.
What 7 and 6 say?
It says, seek not to be judged, being not able to take away iniquity, lest and at any time thou feel the person of the mighty, and stumbling block in the way of the uprightness.
I think I wanted Sirach 7 and 7. Offend not against the multitude of a city, and then thou shalt not cast thyself down among the people. I don't know what I had saw in that. I had seen something in that, but we can move on. You know what I'm saying? If it come back to me, it come back to me. Let's go to Matthew 11 and 28. Well, Salaki, let's go straight to let's go to Hebrews 11 and 25. Let's get to the chase.
It's the book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 11 in verse number 25. And it reads right here, choosing rather, can y'all hear me?
Con,
it says choosing rather to...
Hey, Salakia, start at 24.
Verse 24, it says, by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter.
Right, so it says when Moses had come to years. Spiritually, that's talking about when Moses had came to the knowledge of the truth. When he came to the truth, when he was awakened spiritually, right? It says he refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, meaning we're not Americans. We're not African Americans. We're not Negroes. We're not Black. We're not Hispanic, Spanish speaking. We're not, all these bywords that was prophesied to put on us. We're not those things. So Moses said, I'm not those things either. Whatever Pharaoh in Egypt called me, whatever Babylon called me, whatever America called me, that's not what I am. That's what that's talking about, right? Read verse 25.
Verse number 25. It said, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
Right. So Moses, even though he was a prince, even though he was considered royalty, he was choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God. So I'm bringing this out. Why? Because a lot of us, we're not even in a princely status or a princess status. A lot of us were middle class. We're hardly middle class, and we want to enjoy life. We want to take in the pleasures that come with Babylon, um, that come with Salakia, part-time off, come with benefits. We wanna take the pleasure of those things, right? But if we're reading to learn from the Bible and from our forefathers and their actions, guess what? It says choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God. That means he put all those things aside. He could have had the Bentley. He could have had the expensive clothes. He could have had the expensive camels, horses. You know what I'm saying? But what he did was he chose to suffer with the people of God because he saw, like the brother Yahweh all said, hey, if one of us lose, we all lose. If one sheep is lost, we all lost. So we gotta treat that like that, right? Go ahead.
And a perfect example of how to do what Moses did, and what I'm saying, humble yourself to feel the pain of your people, right? So that you can be more compassionate towards your people, is to get out there on the highways and byways, man. Not even necessarily get on the highways and byways, man. If you have other means of edification, whether that be social media, on YouTube, or anything, right? I think get out there on the highways and byways is more conducive just to see how your people are living, right? You might be living, like the brother says, in middle class or in the suburbs or whatnot, but when you go out there and specifically go to bad areas, right, and you talk to certain people and you meet people from different walks of life, right, you start to gain knowledge of how your people are actually living and how the oppressor is really got their foot on our people's necks, right? Because a lot of times if you're in the suburbs or you're middle class, you can fall into being lax because the cares of the world isn't weighing so hard on you. But I know we were talking about it when we went to Baltimore, because a lot of people were like, why do some of the Israelites, they be so mad at Esau, this, that, and the third? Well, it's because Esau has a different effect on certain Israelites, right? You might be in a place where Esau has his foot on your neck slightly, but there's some people that wake up, and from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, they feel oppressed. You know what I'm saying? And it's a good thing to get out there to actually, soak all that in so you can be like Moses. And what Moses did when he finally soaked all that in, when he realized, oh, I got some of my people out here getting oppressed as soon as they wake up. What did Moses do? That man was so mighty that, and he felt it so much that even though he lived in royalty, what he do? He slew one man or two men?
One.
Two.
Was it two?
I believe it was two.
It was two.
Yeah, I believe it was
two.
One.
I believe it was two too. He slew two men, you know what I'm saying, that was oppressing his people. Nowadays, you would be considered doing too much, right? Our people would say you was doing too much, even coming to the rescue of our own people, right? But you gotta understand, man, this man was living royalty and he consumed himself with the compassion for his people so much that's what he did. And that's what that was an example in the Bible that was written aforetime. That's what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Even if you live in comfortable, even if you live in good, you should be living as if you're waking up and you're going to sleep with the person that's sleeping on the street.
Con. And I want to read this real quick. Hebrews 12:8. But if ye be without chastisement, whereof are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. Talking about sons of God. So the Most High God deals with you by bringing on chastisement, but also chastise yourself in everything that you do. If you know you're doing a little something too much and it's folly, or it's not edifying, or it's not building the nation, or it's not adding to your personal health, wealth, or spiritual understanding, Chastise yourself. Say, I don't need to be playing 2K this much. Say, I don't need to be shopping this much. Say, I don't need to be watching YouTubes this much. I don't need to be watching Netflix this much, right? Chastise yourself, because that's how you know that you're a son of the living God, because you know God takes pleasure in the fact that you know how to control your flesh, right? It's all about controlling your flesh at the end of the day, because that's what we're warring. We're warring against the spiritual battle that's influencing our flesh to sin, right? So
Self-discipline.
chastise yourself. And when you chastise yourself, you're going to find out you're not going to be taking vacations like that. You're not going to be worried about buying yourself new things, the more expensive things in life, and taking so many pictures, right? Let's go to Ecclesiastes 7:2.
Ecclesiastes 7:2, and it says, "It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart."
Right. So the Bible itself is saying, hey, it's better to go to the house of mourning. Why? Because you have people that's dying out here of innocent. You got people that's being falsely accused every day and put into prison systems. You got people that's in poverty that can't eat. People that's literally, you know what I'm saying, on the streets, living on the street. So it's better to mourn with those people like Moses did, suffering affliction with the people of God, right? It's better to do those things than to go to the house of feasting, to always want to turn up, to always want to go to the next extravagant place, right?
Mask the pain.
Mask the pain. You know what I'm saying? I'm in captivity. I just gotta get some rest. I gotta enjoy myself. No,
Take my mind off of this oppression.
right. It's better to go to the house of mourning, right? What we got coming up this weekend is Juneteenth, and a lot of brothers in the world, a lot of sisters in the world, our people, our lost sheep. Guess what? They're gonna be enjoying Juneteenth as if they're somehow free, right? Just because they don't have actual slave chains on them and an actual yoke of iron on their neck anymore. They're going to be going to the house of feasting, eating all different type of abominations, thinking that they're free.
And
Not knowing,
all that is just to cloud your judgment, man. And this goes into always being sober and vigilant. That's why this scripture was written, to go to the house of mourning and not the house of feasting. Why? Because if you go to the house of mourning, that's literally gonna sober you up. You're gonna be vigilant. Why? Because it's a reality check. It's gonna bring you to reality, and it's gonna keep you in reality. Like, hey, look, this is not our rest. You know what I'm saying? But if you go to the house of feasting, man, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be within your mirth 24/7, right? It's gonna blind you. You're gonna think, oh, this life really not that bad. If we can have parties like this often, you know what I'm saying? If we can take time to have some feasts like this every now and then, you know what I'm saying? Counting wins, counting W's that aren't even really W's, right? That's gonna cloud your judgment. And that house of mourning is going to bring you that reality check.
Con, if we can get a quick example real quick of going to the house of mourning instead of the house of feasting, let's go to Daniel chapter 10. We can start at verse 1. Well, actually, we'll start at verse 4.
Starting at verse 4 in Daniel chapter 10. Salakia. "And in the 4th and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz. His body
Con,
was also like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as the lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in colors of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude."
right. Keep reading.
Salakia. Salakia. And it says, "And I, Daniel," Salakia. And it says, "And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. For the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retain no strength.
Con.
Yet,
So go to what verse you on?
not number 9.
Go to verse 12.
Daniel 4, Salakia, Daniel chapter 10 and verse number 12. And it says, then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words.
Con. Right? So this is Daniel. And if you guys know about Daniel, they call it the Daniel fast. He fasted until he had this vision of the angel coming down saying, I heard you the first day. So why am I going here? Because we just read that it's better to go to the house of mourning than the house of feasting, right? So it said, we go back to verse 4, right? Just to highlight. Let's get edified. Verse 4 says, in the 24th day of the first month, right? So we know that Passover is in the first month, right? And Passover is on the what day? The 14th day at even, right? And Passover lasts a whole week, right? So you might be saying, well, if that's the 14th day, this is the 20th day, you know, it was probably wrapping up. It was probably the middle of the week.
Day.
Huh?
This would be the 24th day.
The 24th day, you know, he wasn't, it had ended already. But that's why we go back to verse 2 and verse 3.
And it says, verse number 2, in those days I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks.
So at this time, when he saw this vision, it had already been 3 weeks. So he fasted through the feast of Passover. A lot of brothers like, nah, I need to go to Passover. I need to go. It's going to be wine there. They're going to have that good unleavened bread. Daniel said what? Go to verse 3.
Verse number 3, I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled.
Right. So he suffered affliction for his people instead of going to that Passover. And then after the Passover passed a few days, you know what I'm saying? Verse 4 happened where he saw that vision with that angel. He got answered. So the Most High God rewarded him for his affliction, his chastisement when he held back. Right now, I'm not saying ignore the feast days unless you know it's something serious going on. I'm not saying ignore the feast days, but what I'm saying is we see here an example of it's better to go to the house of mourning than the house of feasting. All right. So let's go back. Let's go back to let's get Salakia. Let's get Proverbs 29 and 2.
This is the book. Let me go to Proverbs 29. Starting at 2. And it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
So why are you trying to take vacations when the wicked are at rule right now? You should be mourning. Right? Why are you trying to enjoy yourself when you should be mourning? This is thus saith the Lord. It's not thus saith THE or the brother Azrael. If you feel like we're coming off as scoffers, or if you feel like we're coming off over righteous, please let us know. But this is not our opinion, right? This is what we learn and how we're edified through the book, how we're edified through the Bible. Everything should be for our neighbor, for our brother, for our sister, right? The other day, I think it was like a week or so ago, my rib said, was so and so. It was something simple that she left at the store. She said, "Well, did you see so and so in the trunk?" Because I was unloading the groceries, and I said no. She said, "I know I bought it," and I was like, "No, I didn't see it," and we dropped it. But in my head, I thought about Deuteronomy, I think 24, or it was Deuteronomy, I can't remember. It's somewhere in Deuteronomy where it talks about if you forget your basket in the field, leave it because somebody else might need that. You know what I'm saying? So everything we should be doing should be thinking about, oh, my brother, my sister that might need it more than me. It shouldn't be about me, I, right? So thus saith the Lord, You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be mourning because wicked people are in rulership right now. Our shepherd, he's no longer here, right? He said, smite the shepherd and the sheep will flee. Right now, we're all scattered across the world. We should be
Con.
mourning.
That's another example would be like when the Pharisees and scribes they asked Christ, hey, how come your disciples they don't fast, but John's disciples fast, right? And he says, uh, how can they fast if I'm here with them? Now they'll fast when I'm gone, right? Because you know what I'm saying. This is our time of mourning. Our king's not with us. You know what I'm saying? In any case where the king is not with you anymore, the people are mourning. You can watch any movie, bro. Right? 300, Troy, any of these movies, right? When the king dies, the people mourn. Not saying he's dead because he lives forever, but when the king's not with us, the people mourn. Now it's our time to fast and pray and mourn and stay in that reality check. That's why it says be sober and vigilant. You know what I'm saying? Not to give yourself into too much strong drink and wine, right? Because we gotta keep ourselves in reality.
And I gotta add to this as well. Let's go to the book of Second Edges, chapter 5. Right, we're just gonna talk about this for a brief second. Second Edges 5, just adding on to the morning, right? And it says, nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the days come, the days shall come, that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of the truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Right. So this is in a sense, kind of going into that famine of the word coming. Peoples are going to be losing faith. You know what I'm saying? The way of the truth shall be hidden. That's going back into where it says in Isaiah and Deuteronomy, and I think also in Revelation and Hebrews as well, when it says like the sun shall not give her light, or the stars shall not give their light, and the moon shall be full of blood. Hey, there's going to be a day where the truth is going to be hidden and it's going to be no longer accessible, right? Verse 2, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. So there's going to be greater iniquity on earth than what we can see or what we heard about in times past. How we heard about in the book of Second Maccabees, the 6 to 7 chapters, how we heard about our people by King Herod being literally killed in front of each other just for not wanting to eat pork, not wanting to eat swine. That's wickedness we've heard about. And the wickedness we see in earth today, where we got our peoples getting the JAB, you know what I'm saying? And we got government pushing all this false narratives and false news on us. We got our people subscribing to this music, subscribing to these lifestyles that go completely against the word of the Most High God. This says right here in verse 2, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. So the iniquity we see now and the iniquity we've heard of, it's not going to be like it in that day that the truth is going to be hidden, right? And this is Uriah the angel speaking to Ezra right now. Jumping down to verse 12 to tie the point in. Salakia. Let me start at 12. And it says, at the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. The reason brothers are telling you right now is to not enjoy taking vacations, but rather to enjoy mourning and enjoy building the nation up, because there's going to be a day where, look, we're going to hope, but we ain't going to attain nothing, and we're going to labor, but our ways will not prosper. That goes into the book of Haggai when it talks about, hey, look, we work much, but we bring in little. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a day where now all of a sudden we're working, and it's literally like we're pretty much working to pay one bill at a time every week. You're no longer going to have money to be able to spend to catch a flight to this country, catch a flight to this city, drive to this city, drive to this country. You know what I'm saying?
Not
It's going to
only
be a day
that,
like that.
Not only that, if I can interject real quick, it's double to that, which is, you know what I'm saying? Because we just got done a couple verses up talking about the famine of the word and that it was going to be without faith, right? And so even when you read 12 and it says, men shall hope and obtain nothing, they shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper, right? Even spiritually, right? Men are going to try to labor for this truth, but they're not going to know how to. Right? They're not going to have any instruction because that instruction, that faith is going to be gone. And they're going to be trying, their labor is going to be in vain, right? Because the only thing that they're going to be able to cleave to is Christianity, the
Right.
nation of Islam, right? And that's not going to cut it. It's
Hey,
not
look,
going to cut it.
Salakia, and going back to this, when it says in Romans 10 and 17, and it says, "And faith, and faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." That's how you can know this is talking about the famine of the word, because in the land shall be barren of faith. If faith come by hearing and hearing by the word, according to Romans 10 and 17, then what else could this be talking about right here in 2nd Esdras 5 and 1? But this is the point I wanted to make on that, right? Verse number 13. To shew thee such tokens I have leave. And if thou wilt pray again and weep as now and fast even days, thou shalt yet hear greater things. So the angel was telling Esdras to fast and weep again. Because why? These are, I want to show you this vision. You know what I'm saying? I want to show you something a little bit more in detail about what's going to happen in that day, right? That's going back to what Daniel did back in the Daniel, the 10th chapter, when it's talking about right here. And it said, in those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks, right? That's going back to ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. That's important to know, because why? It's the same account, fasting and mourning, because there's going to be a day where we're literally going to be mourning. And if you don't take a mourning into account now, because our people suffer as a whole, then in that day, you're going to be as the people in verse number 1 in 2nd Esdras, the 5th chapter, when it says, the days come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Jumping down to tie it in with verse 12. At the same time shall man hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. If you if you don't have that sense of mourning, that sense of spiritual discernment, that sense of fleshly control, if you can't have self-control now, you know what I'm saying, you're not going to have self-control in that day, which is why the Akiyam is not, like we said, we're not speaking against people choosing to do their pastime in different ways. What we're saying is focus on the things that matter the most. What matters most? You know what I'm saying? Us getting a break from captivity, going to another place in captivity to get a break from captivity, or helping somebody who's in this captivity that's a little worse than myself.
Kind. You had something? You was about to say something, Marcel?
Yeah, I was just gonna say to both points. You can say what you was gonna say.
I was about to say that's con, man, because when you reading this, they shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. First thing that came to my mind was when Christ was with his disciples, and his disciples were confounded because they were trying to cast out a devil and they couldn't, right? And it says they shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. That's almost a way of an example right there, right? They were laboring, they're trying to rebuke, they were trying to cast out these devils, but their ways didn't prosper because they didn't have the instruction that they needed. They didn't have the discipline that they needed. What was that? Christ said, "Hey, look, some devils only come out with prayer and fasting, right? But they didn't know that, and so they didn't know that, so their ways did not prosper. They hoped, but they did not obtain. You know what I'm saying? And that's the first thing that came to my mind. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, man, you better grab a hold of this truth and these scriptures while you still can, because a lot of stuff in here that, especially if you was in colloquial Christianity, you're not gonna know how to do. You're not gonna know how to fight. My mom talks about it all the time. Just now that she's been in the truth, she's like, man, so many people have been sick, so many people, this, that, and the third. And I wish I would have known then what I know now. I would have said the prayer like this. I would have fasted this many days. I would have put this concoction together of herb-bearing seeds. You know what I'm saying? And we as a people need to take hold of these scriptures, because this is literally, you know what I'm saying, it's great knowledge to have for any situation.
Con, and I want to say something real quick before I pass the mic back to you. It's going back to Haggai 1 and 5, and it says right here, or Haggai, however you pronounce it, and it says right here, it is time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this houses lie waste. Now, therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. The Lord is telling these people, hey, look, consider your ways, right? Because this is in the time of Darius, right? I think King Darius, the king of the Persians, right here, is ruling. And it says in the right here, and it says, verse number 6, ye have sown much and bring in little. When you go read Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, it tells us there's nothing new under the sun. That which hath been is that which shall be, right? Confirming that, going back to second Esdras, the 5th chapter, when it says in verse number 2, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. Same things that happening back then, same things happening now, and low-key a little bit worse, right? Because you go to Jeremiah 16:11, it talks about we've done more iniquity than our fathers. But going back to Haggai 1 and 6, it says, ye have sown much and bring in little. We're living in that time now, and that's been going on, where we've sold a lot, but we didn't bring in much. That's why we always say, bruh, these curses have us under the truth of literally having to work 2 jobs. I talked to my sister yesterday on the phone, and we was on FaceTime. She FaceTimed me while I was on the job, and I didn't know she had a second job. But she works at this entertainment center for one of her jobs, and now she works at this hotel for her other job. But what she told me is like, yeah, I got this job and I'm trying to get a third job because this, that, and the third. She got 3 jobs and is still not bringing in enough to get to what she needs. All she's trying to do is buy a car. That's what she told me. She just like, look, I need money. I'm trying to get a car. You know, I'm trying to get some stuff to my name. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff in my own personal gain. She's working 3 jobs, right? Going back to Haggai 1 and 6, ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. It's like taking in money. You literally making money, and soon as you get the money deposited into your account or cash a check, however you get paid, you're literally paying off this, paying that. It's literally a constant cycle, living paycheck to paycheck. That's something that
Too.
has been going on.
Too. And once you finally make it, and you're of upper class or upper middle class, you finally make it, you still got holes in your pocket because now you spending it on expensive things that you don't need to spend it on. So we got our people that's struggling, that got holes in their pocket, and you, because of vanity, you still got holes in your pocket, saving up money to spend it on nothing.
Right. And that's why it's important to know that when the brother is talking about, hey, look, when the ungodly seek pleasure, and he's talking about, you know, taking these trips, taking these vacations, I would be a liar if I said I didn't want to take time to get away, you know, with my wife and my children. I would be a liar to say that publicly. But in the grand scheme of things, what's more important? Is me taking a trip with my wife and my family going to be beneficial to the lifting up of the nation, or is that just something that I like to do and that's my pleasure, right? And that's why we say it's important to know that when you're listening to this and you're hearing this, we're not telling people, brothers that are in sin, for using a pastime to take their wife or their children out. We're saying the thing that's most important should be building up our nation, right? And that's in a sense of understanding that that thing that which hath been is that which shall be. You know what I'm saying? We have sown much and brought in little. We eat, but we have not enough. That's even manifold, like the Octanal was saying earlier. Even in the spiritual realm, we've sown much in the spirit, but we still bringing in little, right? Even in the spirit, even when you're inquiring of the Lord, you're mourning, you praying, you fasting. If any man think he knows something, hey, look, he know not as he ought to know, because there's constantly things in the spirit realm that we're gonna have to learn. It's like putting our knowledge in a bag full of holes. Once you get that milk, you realize you got to go to the meat. But then before you go to the meat, you look at the milk and realize, oh dang, I still got more milk I need to drink. There's always manifold to what this is saying. And this is why it's important that when it says that, and he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. We're sowing all these good works, you know what I'm saying, in the spirit realm. But look, it's constantly more work that we got to put in, because it's going to continue to come out. It's going to continue to come out. I don't go give alms to one person and be like, Okay, I've done my part. I can get into the kingdom. Okay, I've done my part. I've contributed to the upkeep of my nation, the success of my nation. No, there's plenty of brothers and sisters who you can bless routinely. Even if you ain't got nothing materialistic to give them something spiritual, right? According to Matthew 4:4 and Deuteronomy 3:8, man should not live by bread alone, or 8:3, whichever one whichever one it is. But wrapping what I'm saying up, my little spiel up, all we saying is, hey, look, this is important to know that there's going to come a time where the mourning that we go through now, if you're not really mourning now, in that day, you're going to wish that you had mourned a little bit. You're going to wish that you had mourned is the slightest bit when literally all hell started to break loose. My wife was just fussing at me today because I told her to go to the grocery store, and I was like, don't buy no meat. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to personally take a break from meat just to kind of like give my body a break from digesting so much meat, right? But that's a me personal thing. That's not necessarily saying I'm promoting veganism. You know, hey, to each his own. What I'm saying is that I told my wife, man, I don't want her to buy that meat. She's sitting up here like, we need to stock up. We need to stock up because you don't know what can happen. What if we don't have no meat? What if we don't got this, that, and the third? And uh, in my mind, I get where she's coming from, but in my mind, it's just like, what if we have meat and as soon as we run out of meat, then what we gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
So really, it's like really both of y'all are both trying to prepare. Because if you cutting out meat right now, that's just gonna prepare you for times to come when you don't have meat. But she's trying to prepare by, you know what I'm saying, stocking up that meat. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's why when I was in the grand scheme of things, that's why I said I wasn't necessarily going against her. I was just taking it from a standpoint of, look, man, I would be content if I didn't eat meat another day. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I can survive off the herbs that the Lord gave us. But at the same time, she's coming from a standpoint of, look, you can eat meat, but I want to stock up on the meat before there is no meat left on the shelves. And that's double fold. In a sense, both perspectives of how we should look at living life. We should be wanting to stock up on our riches in the kingdom, in the spirit realm, and in the physical. We should be wanting to deny our flesh each and every day in order to mourn and truly weep. So that way, when that time comes, like it mentions, going back to 2nd Esdras 5:1 and 2nd Esdras 5:2, and jumping down to verse number 12. When that day comes, it's nothing new to you. You've done it. You've done all the necessary preparations. But go ahead, Captain Nazariel.
And you know, that's those are righteous conversations that you having that's not full of vanity. You know what I'm saying? Being prudent, meaning you're thinking of your goings, right? You're thinking about what's going to happen in the future. Those are conversations we want to have. But also, like the brother said, you know what I'm saying? You chastising yourself, making yourself uncomfortable prepares you for the test to come. When other brothers and sisters are struggling, because, for example, you read the book of Judith, the Jews that were living on the mountaintop, and the Assyrians cut off all of their food and all their water. They was fasting for 5 days, and they was finna kill each other. They was finna, eat the holy things in the temple, all different type of madness, because they probably had took a break from fasting. It had only been 5 days. Judith, she fasted every day of her life except for Sabbath, Eve, Sabbath, and feast days. So she was used to fasting. So when they came to her, she said, "Hold up. Y'all can't rush. Don't rush it now. We're just being tried by the Most High God." But she was able to think clearly because she had been afflicting herself. She had been chastising herself. So the whole thing is, don't get too comfortable. When we're going over this lesson, don't get too comfortable. I wrote down some things, right? Chastisement, number 1, is key, right? We see to be built up. I'm going to read this real quick. Matthew 23 and verse 12. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, meaning you're going to be brought down to a base level. And he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. So when you afflict yourself, when you bring yourself low, when you chastise yourself, that's being humble. And we see with Daniel, we see with Ezra or Esdras, right? We see that when they do those things, that God blesses them. When they fast and they mourn and they afflict their body, right? Even when we read in Isaiah 58, is this not the fast to break burdens and heavy chains, or heavy burdens and chains, right? So when we do those things, we're freed spiritually and mentally and physically, right? But we gotta work on chastising ourselves. There are brothers and sisters that openly claim and perfectly fine with, I don't know how some of y'all can fast for 5 days. I don't know how some of y'all can fast for 3 days. I can't get past one. I'm going to stick to my 1 day fast. Guess what? You're too worried about the wrong things. You're too worried about vacationing. You're too worried about going out having fun. You're too worried about taking trips. When that day of judgment comes, you're going to be uneasy. There's going to be two different type of people on that day of judgment. Men whose hearts fail them and those that look up and rejoice for their salvation, right? And what's going to happen is a lot of us are going to fail. Our hearts are going to fail us because we're going to realize we could have did more. We was too comfortable. That flight that we took to Jamaica, that flight that we took to Punta Cana, that flight that we took to the Bahamas, guess what? We could have took that flight to go to Arizona and bring out the word. We could have took that flight to go to Egypt to bring out the word. We could have took that flight to go study at some other land, right, and build the nation. But we got to look the Most High God in His eyes and say, guess what? I was worried about myself. I wasn't thinking about I wasn't thinking about building the nation. But if I could go back in time, because on that day of judgment, you're gonna want to go back in time so you can redo some things, reevaluate your life. Right? Go ahead.
Con, and to elaborate on that, hey, look, we do have to get our minds in the right places. Like I said, I can't lie and say that part of this, Factual Friday is kind of rebuking me too, because I'm sitting over here like, man, look, I know that my mind will be in the right space, but I still want to go on the trip, but continuing listening on, man, I'm like, hey, look, that's valid because our minds have to be focused on what's coming. Because you got to think about it like this, right? Brother just brought out a body point. When you think about what you did back then, you always are you can either live with the pain of regret or the pain of sacrifice, right? So the pain of regret is worse than the pain of sacrifice because the pain of regret is I should have, or dang, if I would have, or I really could have. You know what I'm saying? Versus the pain of sacrifice saying I did. And it was hard to do that. But at the end of the day, I did it. And now I can do this. It's just like why people save money. Like, I ain't going to mention the Ock name, but I got an Ock who is a save fanatic. He is a saver. He's like, save, man. Hey, look, I get paid. I live off like $200, and the rest of that I'm putting away because why? There's going to be a time where that defense, that money being a defense, is going to be necessary. There's going to be a time where that money that he's saving, he's going to need it, right? And it's just like this. When it comes to your mind being in the right place, if we humble ourselves a little bit now, in that day, we can be exalted by the Most High because we'll be strong enough to endure whatever affliction, whatever chastisement that He sends on the earth. If you put in the work to read the scriptures now, pray and fast, when that famine of the words come, you will be spiritually fed. If you put in the work to fast now and to understand that you cannot live, you don't have to eat every day to actually live and survive. When that day comes where you don't know where your next meal comes from, you will be sufficient. You will be content. And your mindset has to be there. You got to pay attention to what's going on in the news, right? Because even this, look, check this out, right?
Hey, and that's millions of dollars.
Hey, look, they said, and he's like Ox said, that's millions of dollars right there that somebody, some company, whoever lost. They say that's about 3,000 cattle that died, right? You got to think about it when it comes to, they're blaming it on the weather, right? And it says the National Weather Service has warned that temperature will reach 109 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius in parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. Experts have blamed global warming for more frequent and intense heat waves. They say these can also have devastating economic impacts, right? So think about it like this. We're living in a time where we've heard about global warming before, and they always told us that we need to prepare for it because it's going to be one day we can't even step outside without the sun consuming us up or giving us all types of radiation. We're going to have to start wearing sun suits. It's getting so hot on Earth that they're saying, look, it's affecting the economy. You know what I'm saying? Food plants are being burned up. We talked about this before. Heat waves are going crazy. Every day while I'm at work, I get a notification from the weather app that I have on my desktop saying that, hey, look, there is a heat wave warning for the area that I'm living in. And look, this is important to know because it's affecting the food that we eat, the food that people eat. It's affecting the money that people make, especially people who actually go out there and do that type of husbandry work to go take care of cattle, to go take care of sheep, to go slaughter, do this, that, and the third. It's affecting everybody. And if you're not paying attention to what's going on in current events right now, we got a brother named, like we said, I call him the Najit Melchizedek, right? That's what he called himself. But he's so in current events, he's like, look, like the brother was saying earlier, he went from playing 2K to watching sheep videos. Because when you pay attention to what's going on around the world now, you will see that something greater is coming to whereas you're not going to be able to be comfortable in this life. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. So it's better, like the Captain Azrael is saying, and the Captain Denal elaborated on, make yourself uncomfortable now. That way, when that time comes, you won't be uncomfortable.
Right, because nothing new is nothing new under the sun. The sun has seen it all, right? And I'm talking about both sons, Christ and the actual son. They've seen it all. You know what I'm saying? In the times of Egypt, there was a massive famine. I'm talking about right now. We see it on social media. We see it on the news. We see it, in conversations at work. And it's just that. It hasn't really hit home yet. But guess what? People are going to kill themselves. People are going to panic. People are going to be frustrated, just like in Egypt, when Egypt was the only one with the answers, right? There's the only ones that had stocked up for the famine because they had got the vision from Joseph, right? But guess what? That was a serious time where, hey, things are going to be dried up and it's going to get real crazy. But we don't even know what's true, what's fake. All we know is that whether it's being controlled or not, it's a famine coming, right? There's multiple random fires happening to everybody's farms. Are helicopters dropping fire in people's plantations and ranches and stuff? Maybe. It doesn't matter who's doing it. It's just the fact that it's happening. You know what I'm saying? But getting back on topic real quick, let's go to Mark 4:19.
It's the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse number 19.
Right.
Can I get 2 precepts after that?
I was gonna read this and then go to Matthew 13 and 22. They both say the same thing, but I wanted the different verbiage. But then you can.
It says, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the
Go
lust.
Slacky. Go to verse 18 first.
Verse number 18. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the lust of other things entering in choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful.
Right. So guess what? This word said it's deceitful. Meaning, guess what? A lot of times a gift destroys the heart. A lot of time that gift is a gift just to deceive you. So that guess what? You can become unfruitful. Let's go to Matthew 13:22 real quick. Right? This is the gospel. So they all say the same thing. But I just wanted to get it out of the mouth of another witness real quick. Matthew 13 and 22.
So it says, Matthew 13 and 22. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the cares of this world and the
what?
And the cares of this world.
So the cares of this world. You caring about the things of this world too much. You care about getting a bag so you can spend it. You care about that new clothes, that new car. You care about where you're going next. You care about having a vision board. You care about having a map, and you color in the little area, the little country every time you visit it. You caring about the cares of this world too much, right? Keep reading.
And the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful.
Right. So if you keep doing those things, right, you might go on this trip and you're still in the truth. might go on that trip, you're still in the truth. You might spend the money on this, you're still in the truth. You might keep doing those things and you telling yourself you're still in the truth, but over time, it's going to choke you and you're not going to know that you're being strangled spiritually and you're going to become unfruitful, meaning you're not going to teach nobody no more. You're going to be one of those people that's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, hey, we the Israelites. You're going to be one of those people in that circle of conversation saying, bro, I don't even know we the Israelites. I'll put you on game. You're going to be that I'll put you on game dude. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to be that because guess what? That's not helping nobody out. You got all this knowledge and you keeping it to yourself because you pride yourself in being wiser than people, right? And everything in your life is vanity. You do everything for yourself. You can go at me, Denal.
Con, man. And even when we go on trips, man, like the brother saying, no, it's not a sin to go on a trip. But you know what I'm saying? In this truth, I think the most diligent people in this truth, they get excitement out of going on trips and saying and being able to say, man, I've been to the hood and shared this gospel. I done been to Bora Bora and shared this gospel, right? Make your trips effective and conducive
Right.
for the nation.
Edify the nation. All things lawful, but all things edify not. So make it edify.
There's a just balance. But I wanted to get two precepts, man, that I think go perfect with this lesson, man. If I don't know if you pulled one of them yet. Have you pulled out Sirach 9 and 12 yet?
Hey man, pull out whatever you're gonna pull out because you might go into it a different way to me, even if I did pull it.
All right, Sirach 9 and 12 is the first one. And we went into this one the other night.
Yeah, we went into this
Wednesday. That's why I asked y'all to send me those two because I was gonna go over it. I was finna go over Sirach 9 and 12 and Acts 14 and 22, but that's the spirit. Go ahead.
You gonna hit it?
Yeah, I was finna go there right now and then go to Acts 14 and 22.
Well, I'll go to my.
No, go ahead.
No, I'll go to my other precept first then.
No, you can go ahead and go here because I was gonna go there anyway. So go here.
Okay. So Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 9 and 12, right? Delight not in the thing that the ungodly have pleasure in, like the brother was saying, right? The ungodly have pleasure in folly, right? In going on trips and whatnot. They have pleasure in things that are not effective, that are not conducive for our nation, right? But remember, they shall go unpunished and unto their grave. Why are they going to be punished for these things, right? Because all they're worrying about is vanity at the end of the day, and we know that vanity corresponds to idolatry. And I really brought this precept out because I didn't know if he was going to hit it, but you know what I'm saying, it definitely goes hand in hand with the title, right?
That's why
ungodly pleasure in things, right?
That's why when I think it was you that read it. That's why when you read it on Wednesday, I was like, "Hey, text that to me." But that goes hand in hand. You know, you don't want to be like the people in the world. A lot of us want to be like the people in the world. That's why we're caught up on the latest album. We're caught up on the latest drama. We caught up on the latest purse. We're caught up on the latest shoes or what's hot, what's not. Salakia. We're caught up on all those things trying to be like the ungodly, right? And that's gonna be to our ruin. It's gonna be to our destruction, right? And like it says, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be led to the grave. So Khan.
I got one more precept too. I think we mentioned it, but we didn't actually go to it. If we go to Luke 21 and 34, can we go to Luke 21 and 34? And this one really goes hand in hand with your lesson, man. We mentioned it, but just going back to read the whole thing, yeah, this should have been a staple precept for this lesson, right? And it says, and take heed to yourselves. Immediately it brings us back to that precept that says, only take heed to thyself, right? And it's talking about exactly, and it's talking about, you know what I'm saying, take heed to us, the Israelites, your people, right? Lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting, right? We talked about this, right? Only take heed to yourselves. What is this going to do when you take heed to yourselves, when you take heed to your nation, your brothers and your sisters, right? It's going to cause you not to be in folly. It's going to cause you not to be in surfeiting, right? You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't take heed to yourself, right? If you don't take heed to the state that your nation is in, you're going to get laxed, right? You can not only
Salakia too, if I could say something, it says take heed to yourselves, plural, meaning he's talking to the nation of Israel, not talking about individually take heed to your own self and be
Con.
selfish.
Just like Deuteronomy's talking about. Con. You know what I'm saying? And so when you take heed of the state that your nation is in, it's gonna cancel out all that surfeiting, right? You're not gonna be lax. You're gonna be on 10 all the time, right? You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be trying to help your brothers and sisters out all the time. But if you don't take heed to yourself, what's it gonna do? Lest that anytime your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting. When you don't take heed to your nation, then your mind, now you thinking you're at complete shalom and you're at rest and you can do whatever you want to. Then you get into surfeiting, what we hit earlier today, right? And drunkenness, right? You're gonna start turning up, you're gonna be at party, you're gonna start drinking. And we just read another, the last precept that you brought out talks about the cares of this life. This one's bringing it out again. We did Matthew and Mark, but this is Luke saying, and the cares of this life. And so that day come upon you unaware, right? It's gonna sneak upon you because you're not taking heed to the state that your nation is at.
And Salakia too, to just your point, you know, brothers and sisters only worry about their own salvation. I mean, the scripture says seek your own salvation. But brothers and sisters, once they feel like they've sought their own salvation, they take a rest. They think they've made it. They think they endured to the end already. And that right there kind of irks me because it's brothers and sisters that need to come into this truth. And you just worried about how you've leveled up. You just worried about how you became so spiritual, and you're not worried about nobody else. Your job now that you got it together, you know what I'm saying? And my problem is it's the people that love, because I like to keep a balance, you know, New Testament, Old Testament teachings, right? But it's the people that love the New Testament that are the most selfish. They deceive themselves to not be selfish, right? But they're the most selfish because they don't care about the opinions of other people. They don't care about the state that their people are in. They don't care about teaching their people, right? They just care about themselves. We can think about this, right? Go into Genesis 49 and verse 1, right? Gather yourselves together, right? So I can tell you what befalls you in the latter days or the last days, right? And like the brothers from WFI say, and you're living in the last days. But if we don't gather ourselves,
you didn't know,
right? In case you didn't know, we living in the last days. But if you don't, we can read that real quick, right?
It says Genesis 49 and 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
Right, in the last days. But if we don't gather ourselves together, if we're not trying to gather ourselves together, we're being separate because we found our rest, we found our peace, we got Christ. If we're staying by ourselves and we're not gathering together, he's not going to be able to tell us what's going to happen in the last days. Our focus is not going to be on the last days. We're not going to be prepared, like the brother Yeshaya and Denal keep saying. We're not going to be prepared.
Not only that, bro, you got to think about it, bro. No one's gonna keep it a buck with you like your family. You know what I'm saying? And in that same sense, if you're not gathering yourself together, right? If you don't gather yourself together, you're not gonna find out the most beneficial thing for you. Because the so-called Edomite's not going to tell you what's going to be beneficial in these last days for you as a so-called black man in America, right? The so-called Moabite's not going to give you what you need that's beneficial, that's going to help you in these last days as a so-called Ephraimite or so-called Puerto Rican and living in America. You know what I'm saying? That's why we got to gather ourselves together, because we're going to give us the proper way out of this. You know what I'm saying? By sticking together, we can find a way that's going to be conducive for our people, for us. You know what I'm saying? And no one else is going to tell us that except for our people. Because don't nobody care about us.
And if I may add, let me read something real quick, right? And it says, 1 Thessalonians 5 and 1. It says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. That's going back to the book of Luke that we just read, right? It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as a travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape, right? So you got to understand that when it talks about, you know, the day of the Lord, right? Is the Bible clearly says, and I think in Amos 1 and 8, it says, woe to them desire that the day of the Lord, right? Because the day of the Lord is going to be a day full of darkness. And you got to understand, in the times leading up to that, the times are going to wax worse and wax worse and wax worse and wax worse. which is why going back to second Edges, right? 5:1, 5:2, Salakia. Second Edges 5:2. It says, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. You got to understand, times are waxing worse and worse and worse by the day. And you have to be a truly just a willfully ignorant person to see what's going on, understand, hear the prophets, hear all these organizations, camps, congregations teaching about, the time of the end is near. You have to be a willfully ignorant person to see what's going on in the world and think that I'm good and think that it's not going to touch me. And you have to be a willfully selfish person, like the ox said. You have to be extremely selfish to think that, oh, because I got this, that means I'm gonna be taken care of. But screw, my people truly.
That's a big cut too, though, because we gotta think, bro. It says iniquity shall be increased, right? It says so you gotta think every single year, every time we have a new year, iniquity has increased. And
every
you
time
just
a new
look back,
baby's being born in the world,
right, bro?
Iniquity
You know what I'm
has
saying? You
increased.
just look back at the judgment of our people for the stuff that we did, right? Uh, Even when you go to slavery, you know what I'm saying? And think now the day we living in now, we're committing sins that's worse than they did to get that judgment. So
Hey,
you know that the Most High is just being long suffering because this next judgment is gonna be, you know what I'm saying, something special. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, you gotta wake up and realize that even though it might be peace and safety right now, that it seems like, and it might seem like you're doing the right thing. It might seem like you're at complete shalom and all this stuff, bro. Just know that the Most High is being long suffering, bro. Because hey, this next judgment is gonna be something serious.
Khan. Let me read this real quick. And it says right here, I'm gonna start at verse number 11. Well, verse number 10, right? And it says, and it shall come to pass. It's Jeremiah 16:10. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt shew this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? Or what is our iniquity? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God? Then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, saith the Lord, and have walked after other gods, and have served them, and have worshipped them, and they have forsaken me, and have not kept my law. Verse number 12. Ye have done worse than your fathers. For behold, ye walk every one after the imagination of his evil heart, that they may not hearken unto me. So this was the Lord during the reign of the prophet Jeremiah, giving this prophecy, saying that this is going to happen to the people. Right? That's going back to Salakia. That's going back to the book of Sirach, chapter 9 and verse number 12. Right? Hey, look, delight not in the thing that the ungodly have pleasure in, but remember they shall not go unpunished until their grave. The fact that we delighted ourselves in the gods of these other nations is the reason why we've broken the law, is the reason why we're put in captivity, according to Baruch 4:6. Is the reason why we are destroyed for lack of knowledge, according to Hosea 4:6. There's so many scriptures and accounts that you can pull up to line everything together, like the brothers are doing tonight, to show you why the ungodly seek pleasure and why we shouldn't be seeking pleasure in these times. Go ahead.
and we got to stop thinking that the gods of these other nations aren't still here. You know what I'm saying? Or that doesn't apply to us, because the gods of Babylon, the gods of this nation, brothers and sisters spend hundreds of dollars just to go to concerts and praise these people. You know what I'm saying? And it turns into idolatry and man worship. And thus we have gods and goddesses amongst us now that, will be cast down. But let's go to Zephaniah 2:1. This is gonna say the same thing Genesis 49:1 said. But let's go to Zephaniah 2:1, right? Because once again, we got to be worried about each other. We got to take heed to ourselves as a nation if we want those deep sayings, if we want the truth, if we want prophecy, if we want angels to give us visions, and the Most High God to give us visions. We want these things. We got to be chastised, and we got to be worried about ourselves, right? Let's read this.
Salakia, I knew that you was, when you read that precept the other day and you put on your IG story, I knew that you was probably gonna go into that. I know where you gonna go after this. Just know I know. Zephaniah 2:1.
No, I wasn't gonna go. I wasn't gonna go there.
Oh, okay.
I know what you're talking about though, but I wasn't gonna go there.
Oh, okay. Con. And it says, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Verse number 2. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the Lord's anger come upon you.
Right. So let's break this down. Gather yourselves together. That means, hey, all of us should be bidding each other to the marriage. We should be teaching each other. We should be edifying each other. We should be coming together, right? So that we can endure this captivity until our rest comes. Gather together, O nation not desired. Nobody desires us. They steal from us. We've been robbed, spoiled, put in prison houses. They swagger jack us, but they don't desire us. They'd rather take our braided hairstyles and our hip hop music and leave us in poverty, leave us in section 8, right? Verse 2. Before the decree bring forth, meaning before judgment comes, before the day pass as the chaff, meaning the day is going to pass. Right now, we're living in a day. It might seem like a year went by or 2 years, but to the Most High God, that's a few hours. You know what I'm saying? It says before the day pass as the chaff. The chaff would be like an animal, a fast animal. You know what I'm saying? So as it's going to pass by pretty fast. Before you know it, judgment's going to be here. Before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. So guess what? It's saying to gather yourselves together, not to go have vacations, not to go enjoy yourself, not to be that lost sheep out there in some folly, right? When everybody else is in the sheepfold. It says gather yourselves together if you want to be protected in the last days, right? So
That's a mighty
you
point.
gotta humble yourselves together. While Ashton's gonna bring out his point, can you go to Genesis 47:9?
Khan, that's a mighty point that you just made. And I was just thinking, man, why do we need to gather ourselves together, O nation not desired, right? Because we don't know who we are, right? It says that the ox know of his owner, the ass at his master's crib, but Israel does not know, right? And we need to gather ourselves together so some of us know, you know what I'm saying, that that's our dad. That's our dad that's coming to bring that judgment. It instantly brings back to my memory all the movies that I've watched where it's like a little girl or a little boy and they've been gone this whole time without seeing who their father or their mother was, right? And the mother shows up or the father shows up, and the little kid hides behind something or someone because they don't recognize that that's their father, right? And the father, you know what I'm saying, and it brings about a fear when it should be a embracing or a welcoming, right? And that's going to be our people in these last days. When that judgment finally comes and that sky crack and when we see big bro and you know what I'm saying, and know that he's bringing the judgment of our father, right? Instead of being like rejoicing, like finally the patience of the saints is coming to pass, we're going to be scared of our own father, right? Because we're not going to know that we're supposed to be his and he's supposed to be ours. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be like that orphan kid that's meeting his real dad for the first time. We're going to be scared. Right. And we shouldn't have to do that if we gather ourselves together.
Right. And you know, that's what the Bible or the word of the Lord says is pure religion. You know what I'm saying? Giving a house to the homeless and a father to the fatherless, right? Because spiritually, our people don't have a dad. They don't have a father. Some of us actually don't have fathers. You know what I'm saying? And so our job is to go out here and give people their father back. Give people a home, right? Gather together, give people a home. Give people their husband back. Widows, right? Christ is gonna be your husband. You know what I'm saying? But let's read this real quick. This is another example of living humbly or living a life of chastisement, right? Let's start at verse 8.
Genesis 47, starting at verse 8. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, how old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh,
right? So Pharaoh's looking at Jacob on his deathbed, and he just asked a simple question: hey, how old are you before you pass? You know what I'm saying? And Jacob gives him a very intense answer, right?
So verse number 9. And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years.
So he lived 130 years, right? Keep reading.
Few and evil have
Few
the
and what?
day. Few and evil
So you
have.
telling me he said 130 days, 130 years was few, and he called it evil? Why was it be evil? Because one, he had to work, he had to humble himself down and work for his wives. He had to work for land. He had to work against his brother Esau, right? He was chastised. He was dealt with by the Lord, right? And we reverence him as a mighty forefather, but he said his days were few and evil, even though he lived to see 130, right? Can you keep reading about Cashapp?
Con, and it says, few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage.
Right? So he's saying few and evil have my days been, but I know for a fact my fathers went through worse. So guess what? It's an ongoing trend that we're not supposed to enjoy this life. We're not supposed to ball out and have the time of our life here in Babylon, right? Let's go to Acts 14 and 22. These are examples from our forefathers. We see with how Daniel lived, how Jacob lived, how Abraham lived, how Moses lived. We see how all these Ezra, right? We see how all these people live and all these teachings of Paul, right? Of James, of John, of Luke, of Mark, of Matthew. We see all these teachings of Christ, of how to live in these days, waiting for the kingdom, but we want to do the opposite, right? Let's read this. Acts 14 and 22.
This is Acts 14 and 22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God.
Right. So not much partying, not much vacationing, not much wine testing, not much surfeiting or over overdoing pleasure. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get to the kingdom through much tribulation. That's why he said his days were few and evil, and his fathers were the same, right? Because they're getting to the kingdom. Lord willing, I believe that though Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is getting to the kingdom. You would have to show me otherwise, right? Confirming the souls of the disciples, you're confirmed in these things when you're chastised, right? When you humble and you don't live a life of folly and gladness, right? And exhorting them to continue in the faith, right? The other day, I hit some brothers up, and the brother said, I said, how are y'all brothers doing? Y'all enduring? The brother said, Khan, you know what I'm saying? Just working, working like a slave in Babylon or whatever he said. I said, hey, look, at least you got a job, right? We say all praise to the Most High. You got a job. You know what I'm saying? At one point in life, a lot of us didn't have jobs. So we got to encourage each other to continue in the faith no matter the tribulation that we are in. You know what I'm saying? Do brothers have closing statements?
You muted up.
Yeah, mute.
Snap. I got one closing statement. Excuse me. I just want the record to be shown that I did not violate the Sabbath. I did not pay when the sun was down. We paid for that pizza that came.
Hey, that's through the spirit, because I didn't even know the brother ordered pizza. He went out. I said, brother must have ordered a pizza.
We paid for the pizza about an hour before it came online, because we can do that now in 2022. We can pay ahead of time, and that's what we did. We did not pay at the door. So yeah. So if any brothers was bearing false witness, I'm giving you the chance to repent.
Close the statement, man. I want to say, the brother is lying. He definitely paid at the door. And,
no, I didn't.
Hey, you can't trust this man.
Oh man, that's
is
crazy.
A thief. He is a thief. He is a liar, man.
That's crazy, man.
The brother going off, bro. We're gonna rebuke him hard tonight. But nah, Khan, I just want to say, hey, through the spirit, man, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. for the nation. Just to remind yourself to focus on the things that matter most and to not seek pleasure like the ungodly. The ungodly want to fulfill the lust of their flesh and the love of money and the pride of life in these end times. But we need to be fulfilling our spirit and mourning and fasting and praying to get ready for that day of the famine.
And I know this is Factual Friday. Some people might have been, looking for facts and a lot of Google and a lot of definitions and a lot of things they didn't understand or know. But, this is a fact that we shouldn't be living a life of folly like Nabal, partying, being drunk with wine. Because you're going to wake up one day and your heart going to stop just like him. You know what I'm saying? And that day's going to be faster than you think. But closing statements from me, man, I just want to say I wrote some two things down. This video, the brother Yeshaya said it earlier. This video is not only to condemn brothers and sisters that want to live a life of gladness to the fullest and a life of vanity, but it's also to encourage brothers and sisters who sometimes are hard on themselves, right? Like the brother Yeshaya said, he was hard on himself. Like, man, he kind of still sometimes he want to take time to do X, Y, and Z. Hey, for brothers and sisters that feel bad this is encouraging them to say, hey, look, the Most High God is moving you through the spirit. And a lot of brothers and sisters, Salakia, there's some brothers and sisters that feel bad for Salakia. I'm trying to get my words right. There's some brothers and sisters that feel bad for not wanting to enjoy life. They'll be like, and they'll be hard on themselves, and they'll say, well, man, maybe I should take some time off. Maybe I should enjoy this. Maybe I'm being too serious. Guess what? The Most High God, through the scriptures and the understanding and the precepts, is telling you, guess what? That's the spirit that's moving you to chastise yourself, right? The other point I wanted to make before we close out is, as we move on day to day, always chastise yourself. Always constantly conflict and condemn your flesh. You've been craving a Cinnabon all day and you can't wait to get it. You finally get some free time. Guess what? Tell yourself, I don't need it. It's gonna hurt, but tell yourself, I don't need it. And even though you were set all day on getting that Cinnabon, you condemning your flesh, right? You've been going all day. You couldn't wait to get that icy from Quick Trip, and you finally got some free time. You driving right by Quick Trip. Guess what? Drive on by. You might have the money, you might have the time, but practice condemning your flesh. Practice chastising yourself, so that way when something comes up in life that doesn't go your way, you're used to controlling your flesh, used to controlling your emotions and your affection, right? But with that, I want to say, do not give heed to the pleasures of this world. Don't be choked up with the thorns and the cares of this life. We're the hopeful elect. I'm brother Azrael.
Brother Dunno.
And I'm brother Yeshaya.
Khan, we want to give all glory, praises, honor to the Most High God by the way of his son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation. We're going to be on Cherry Street tomorrow till sun go down. We might get out there around 5 or 4, depending on how hot it is outside. I'm not trying to make it sound weak, but I just know brothers ain't in the city for real. And I was just making up an excuse because we're probably going to get out there later, because I still got to drive about 2 hours to get out there. But nonetheless, we're going to be out there on Cherry Street till the sun go down. Meet us out there, get edified. With that,
Makanja.
Hey, bro. Hey, I'm gonna say Shabbat Shalom. Don't listen to this brother though. He just condemned himself, because earlier he was talking about, hey, we be out there in the elements. Now he talking about depending on the elements. Depending on the element.
We do, but I'm saying, at the same time, you gotta be practical too. We a small body. It's the 3 of us. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we got coolers of water and all that other stuff to keep us. But anyway, we're gonna be out there in the sun regardless. You feel me? It don't get dark till 9. So hey, meet us out there. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be out there, Cherry Street, downtown Macon. Come get edified. Most High will, we're out there by, no later than 5. But kind of like the brother said, Shabbat Shalom.